This program, you've already talked to the city council about at this point, Randy, and so it's up for discussion. Just explain what this is about. We know it's about you trying to at least offer some hope to people who want to save some of these buildings and properties and housing and whatnot. So tell us about this program.
Well, I think it's an idea that I'd just like to talk about with my fellow council members, and it's patterned off of the housing rehabilitation loan program that we have today, where individuals can borrow at a very low interest some monies to help improve a home, maybe make it more energy efficient or something of that nature. So the idea that I have in mind is, might we create a very similar fund for preservation, sort of rehabilitation. Perhaps I still want to replace the windows in my home, but I'd like to keep them very period conscious in terms of maintaining the character of the home. So what I have in mind is perhaps a fund that individuals could borrow against at a very low interest. What I think I would like to see, though, is have matching funds. So in other words, we really want people to have something invested in the process themselves, equal to or at least to whatever funds they would choose to borrow, and then pay it back at a low interest, perhaps include some incentives to pay it back sooner rather than later, so that the fund is replenishing and made available for future borrowing, and keep it going that way. I really don't want this to be viewed as a giveaway fund. It would have to be a borrowing fund.
Would these properties be both residential and commercial properties would be included under this program?
Well, I think we have to work through a lot of details, and first and foremost, just see if there is an appetite to consider the idea. Although we have seen some ideas similar to this in other cities in the United States, so we'll want to take a look at that. But as far as residential versus commercial, I'm not sure. I think right now a lot of the grants and loan programs that are available are geared more toward preservation in terms of turning a structure into an income-producing property. And not so much for residential property, someone who just wants to improve the energy efficiency of their home. So perhaps that would be a more amenable use of the funds.
And then how would it be decided which properties qualify for this program if it is adopted?
Well, again, I think there are a lot of details to work through, but I think the Heritage Preservation Commission would play a strong role in terms of determining whether a particular structure, first and foremost, is historic and worthy of preservation and so forth. And I think we would very much consider their recommendations at the City Council if we were faced with the decision of do we or do we not issue a request for funding, borrowing.
And you expect this conversation with the council soon?
What I hope to do is that this topic would come up for discussion within the next 2 to 4 weeks, perhaps, at a committee of the whole, and just kind of kick the idea around, see if it has some merit. I like to think that it does. And then certainly we would allow for some input from the public. What do they think of the idea? Look at some other programs that exist around the country, see if this works. A key question, of course, is where would the seed money come from to start the funds? And I have a couple of ideas there, but again, that's something that we'll have to talk about, and could be a challenging question as well.
And I'm assuming that this is being driven by some of these controversies that we've had over the last few years over properties that, for whatever reason, have either been demolished or simply disappear or whatever. But in this case, it looks to me anyway that you, as the council leader, you want to be proactive and take the lead in this.
Absolutely. I think we want to be proactive. We hear a lot of talk about DMC and development and growth in our community. And I think this is one of those things where we have to pay attention to our history as well, and hopefully in a proactive sense. Many of the discussions that we've had in previous years when this kind of topic is before us are very painful. Granted, there's a great deal of passion in our community to want to preserve parts of our heritage and our culture and our structures and our architecture, but oftentimes we run into that age-old question of money and how do we appropriately fund some of those desires and initiatives. So maybe this is a way to step up on that.